what was the impetus for making this film? And forgive me, why don't you describe what it is before we talk about that?
Yeah, the film is called Police State. And, the irony is that if I had told you 5 years ago I'm making a film called Police State, you would think it was about another country. Dinesh, are you making a film about China or North Korea or the old Soviet Union? But interestingly, the features of police states, mass surveillance, censorship, political indoctrination in the schools and the media, the attempt to create a one-party state, going after the leader of the opposition party, criminalization of dissent, restrictions on religious freedom, political prisoners. I mean, all these defining characteristics of police states, classic police states, have now appeared in this country. It's a real shocker, and it's also a shocker how quickly this has happened. So that's why the film, I think, even though I tried to make it in a very understated way, has a sense of urgency about it, because it's exposing a rapid decline in our basic liberties in a very short time. If we keep on this road, it will not be long before we are a full-fledged police state.
Basically, in my book, Letter to the American Church, I'm trying to warn Americans that if the church specifically does not wake up and stand against all of these evils, we are running utterly parallel in every sense to Nazi Germany in the beginning. Because in the beginning, people said, oh, it's not so bad. It only happens to a few people. That's exactly what your film shows. In other words, that this is happening, but if you don't know that it's happening, if it doesn't happen to someone that you know, if it hasn't happened to someone that you know, if you haven't heard all of these stories, your instinct is to dismiss it, to ignore it, and thereby to allow it to grow, which is a nightmare, which is the end of America, and it is happening. And you prove that in the film, Dinesh. You prove it. Folks, the film is Police State. It's going to be in theaters October 23rd and 25th. That's next Monday and Wednesday. You have got to see it. You've got to see it. Dinesh, what was your impetus for making this film?
I think it was the realization that the America that I came to as a teenager in the late 1970s is no more. And that's stunning, because I've been a champion of America. I've written books, What's So Great About America, made movies about this. And so in a sense, I'm the ultimate cheerleader for America. And yet, if you were to ask me today, are we still a free society? I would have to, at the very least, give it a qualified endorsement, or say, not really, not anymore. And so look at all the freedoms that are enshrined in the Bill of Rights. Let's just go through 3 or 4. The right to freedom of expression and speech, the right to religious liberty or freedom of conscience, the right to assemble and to freely petition the government for grievances, and equal rights and equal justice under the law. So now I ask you, is a single one of those freedoms right now completely secure in America? No. And yet the founders intended these freedoms to be outside of political negotiation. Even political majorities are not allowed to trample your freedom of speech or my freedom of conscience.